Okay, so it's another podcast, Tezlom podcast, and this one I'm looking forward to. I've not met this guy before, we've just social media, but mate, would you do me a favour, just tell us your name and just a brief explanation of what you do?
Yeah, thanks Ryan. Thanks for inviting me as well up to Tezlom and onto your podcast. So my name's Mark Whitwood. I'm the CEO and founder of the Active Sports Group. Next year will be 20 years since we began and we were established as a business, but it's changed so much over that period of time. It was initially introduced as Active Soccer, which was a children's football only coaching company. The ethos pretty much still exists today as it was back then, and it was about offering fun, healthy and inclusive opportunities to young children to come and play football. I was helped personally by the Princess Trust charity, so I went on their enterprise programme. I've been an ambassador since for them and had an amazing amount of support. Fast forward to now, we can go through obviously as much as you want in between sort of 2005 until today. We are a children's activity provider. We've got a franchise element obviously to it across the UK and Ireland. We also are based not too far from you guys down in Maghull, where we have took our hand to some facility management as well. So we rent out a small five-a-side venue to the local community.
Amazing.
So we've got quite a bit of different stuff going on.
Yeah.
But 20 years next year, and it's all about fun, really, having fun with kids and getting them participating and playing sport now.
Yeah, I think it wasn't until I had kids, because I'm not a massive sports person. I don't actually like football in any sort of degree. Playing it, watching it, talking about it, and it's just not, I've just never been interested in it until I had kids. It's funny because my mates are season ticket holders of Bolton Wanderers growing up, and I had a girlfriend whose dad had a box at United, so I've been to loads of games, but spent most of the time just trying to drink as much beer as possible. So yeah, it's a funny one. But when I had the kids, realising that kids have got a lot of energy, and if you don't get them to do something, you'll probably lose your mind or drink a lot of wine. So having the after school clubs and stuff like that, in the weekend clubs and the summer clubs, it's absolutely needed. And then they teach it. What I love about it is the team element of it, and the creating a team and working together with the kids. That's what I like about it. And then growing up as an adult, going through life, understanding that exercise relieves stress, and I think the two combined. Correct me if I'm wrong, is that what it's all about, really, to a certain degree? Yeah,
absolutely. I think just what you said then about teams and kids going and participating. I was just having a chat with somebody the other day. I'm a parent as well, I've got 3 young girls. They don't always want to learn from mum or dad, do they?
No.
They just switch off, and if you can go put them in an environment where they're going to learn with other kids or from a coach, they're just going to get so much from it, and they'll develop so much more. Their confidence will grow. And I'm actually, after we finish this podcast today, going off to Liverpool University to help with a graduation ceremony for a load of young kids in Liverpool city centre who've just finished achieving X number of hours going to different after school clubs. So it's a celebratory award, and it's just great. And I'll be talking to them about like keep trying new things and pushing yourself, and exercise and all the good that you get out of that will help you in the classroom and everything. It's not about being able to score the winning goal or run the fastest on sports day. Having movement and exercise will help in all areas of your life, and if we can channel that through our programs and having fun at the centre of it, that's what it's all about, really.
It's mad, isn't it? It's exercise. I wish at school I was more bothered about exercise, and I wish in my 20s I was more bothered about it, because I just really wasn't. I did not care about it at all. And then when I got a little bit older, I think just career got me a bit more challenging. You realise movement, and just any sort of movement, walk, yoga, running, fucking combat sports, anything just relieves so much stress.
Absolutely, I think PE's changed a lot though in schools, probably from when we were and like you say, I can see why people I know got disinterested straight away if it was always the same people that are getting picked, or like the way that they used to do games lessons. Sometimes it would be the best getting picked first, and if you were the bigger kid, or like you just weren't interested, or you didn't have the kit, you were always last, and like the dropout rate would have been big, and there wasn't as much choice in terms of sports and things you can go get involved in. And like now there's so much more choice, and in the sector I work in the children's activity sector, you look around, and I know you had a guest on a couple of weeks ago, Anne-Marie, who does Diddy Dance, like another great example. There's just so many amazing sort of children's activity providers where parents have now got like the stacks of choices to go and like put the children into different things. It's not just the obvious clubs that it used to be, like football, rugby, and maybe netball, and that was it. Like, you know, the bigger ones. Now you can go do all sorts, like outdoor exploring, gardening clubs, at after school clubs, you name it. Even gardening's physical activity. You know, it's doing stuff. It's getting outside. Really, that's the big thing for me. That is like talking about exercise and how it helps. But I think getting outside is the most important thing. Like, I know we live in a world of screens, and kids are just giving them like all the time, and it's an easy option sometimes. I get that. We all need that when we're busy, or you're trying to put tea on, and
here's an
your
iPad.
phone's still going, and you got an email, and you're like 20 minutes on the TV, and I can sort this out and all that. But you know, getting outside does everything a world of good. Like, and the sooner kids understand that and feel it, then hopefully it sticks with them for life.
100%, mate. I can't agree more.
Yeah.
I drive to that Lifeboat Road car park every Saturday and Sunday near enough, and go for a walk through the woods and then down the beach, take my shoes and socks off, and take the kids with me, because it's just an hour and a half of downtime. But that hour and a half can like rejuvenate a whole week of stress. Yeah. Like a whole week of stress.
Yeah. It just pours out, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's mad, isn't it? And I need to understand how and why you got into all this. Like, where did it start for you, mate? School, kid? How did you find a love for it?
I was just saying to Kay before, I'm 43, I'll be 44 this year. And like I say, next year will be 20 years since I've been running the business as well. But it all started for me at primary school. I enjoyed going to school. I wasn't too bad academically, but it wasn't the favourite thing. As soon as like the sports equipment came out, or you could get outside, I was hooked. Yeah. I guess both my parents were PE teachers or were working in sport, so I kind of had them as role models, and they were getting me out doing things from a young age. And I guess try and be modest about stuff. I was fairly good at some sports. I ended up running for Great Britain when I was at school.
Way, did you?
Went abroad and represented the country in Austria and Italy. Played football to county level and other sports as well, and I absolutely loved it. And it was you know, that's where for me I was just following something. I was probably doing too many different activities, and I didn't focus on one. And when I got to sort of that age where I guess the dream, like for all of us, is like, that are interested in sport, is you want to try and make it professionally. Didn't quite make it. So sixth form, you start drinking a bit more, going out, there's girlfriends coming on the scene, and it was choices really, like what's going to happen next. And I had to sort of self-admit then that I wasn't going to make it professionally, but I needed to stay in sport. I managed to just get the grades to go to Leeds. It was a struggle in sixth form, and I went and studied sport at Leeds Met. Did a HND first because I didn't quite get enough grades, and to be honest, I said to you, academically, and my old man said this to us at the time. He just said, you know, you don't want to go and read all the time. I get that and everything, and I think putting you into a degree, my advice to you would be, it's probably going to be too much for you. But I think moving away from home, going to Leeds, being able to do all of that will be brilliant for you. And
independence.
I want to support you. So does Mum, and go and do that. But we just think, go and do this 2-year course and see how you get on. And it was the best advice that he'd given me, because I think I would have not completed doing a degree because it would have been too much. I could go a little bit slower at it, start to enjoy what university life was, and start studying something that I was passionate about, which was sport. And that's when the coaching journey really started to take off. I've been doing little bits when I was like 18, 19, but I started working on holiday schemes and really started to like get involved with like helping younger kids during the holidays and everything, and just loved it, loved their energy, loved it. And I was like, right, there's an opportunity came up. I saw it at university. One of the lecturers put it up, who wants to go to America next summer? I was like, yeah, I'll have some of that. And some of my mates did as well. And it was potluck where you got given. And my letter came through, and it was Florida for 6 months. I was like, yes, like that. So 6 months, football coaching every day, travelling across the state. I came back from that, and I was like, my mind's made up now. This is it. I'm going to finish this course, do the extra year to top it up, get the degree, and then I'm gonna fully go for like working in the sector really. And that's kind of where the first love and passion for it all came from, really.
Mate, you were born into it, weren't you?
Yeah. Well, to be honest, I don't know what else I'd do if it wasn't.
Yeah, that's it. Like, you had no other choice, really.
I did loads of... Do you know what? Saying that, though, I did do loads of bar work when I lived in Leeds. I worked in some of the city centre bars, which were good fun. Had some good times there, and perhaps that could have been a route I'd have taken if it wasn't in sport, like going into sort of... I suppose it's still in leisure and hospitality, but yeah, going down that path.
But I think with mum and dad being teachers and PE and stuff like that, and you just found, like you say about the football and the running, it was inevitable, weren't it?
Yeah,
really?
yeah. And that really cemented it for me, just being in that environment every day. Obviously, the weather was much better than it is here, but it was just... I just loved it. I was like...
How old were you when they went over there then?
When I went to America, well, it was the World Cup, actually, Japan. 2022, it was.
2022?
No, sorry, 2002.
2000, so I was going to say...
I'm getting old now, I'm losing years. No, 2002, yeah.
Would you say that was your defining moment of like, right, okay, I'm going to get serious about a job and a career and I know what I need to do?
Got back, and then in that final year of being a student, another sort of opportunity came up where at the time Leeds United were looking for football coaches to work in their community scheme and in the academy, and I was like, I think I could have a go at this. Doing all right with what I'm doing, I keep wanting to learn it. It'd be good for me to be around so many better people as well. So I just went and did the trial days, and I got in. I got an offer of an opportunity to coach part-time with them whilst I was finishing.
How does a trial day for one of them work? How does that work?
I was shit in it, to be honest. I had to go up to one of their training ground and just put in an environment with all the other people that wanted to coach for Leeds and coach the adults. There wasn't kids there. You had to just go and say, right, you're on third. You're going to do a possession session and you're going to have to coach this lot.
No
and
way.
Obviously, and I was like, I've not done this before. So it's like, yeah, nearly.
Was that your first taste of coaching adults? Was it?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, and I was like.
Were you coaching Leeds football players or people?
No, it's like, say you were a coach as well and you wanted to come and work for Leeds United, and maybe some of the existing staff that were up there.
Yeah.
You just got given sort of 15 adults and you were told to put on a session for half an hour with them and be judged on it.
That's intense.
It was, and I nearly started the car because I was panicking. And I was like, I don't know if I can do this. I know I can coach with kids and stuff, but this is different. And no, did it. Obviously, it must have been all right. Just got the opportunity then to start coaching with them, and that was great then because I was around some ex-professionals. I was with some credible coaches, people from other countries as well that were working at the football club as well. So cultural experiences that and learning how people delivered and did things differently. That was cool. And I finished sort of university, but at the time there was no more sort of full-time positions, if you like, at Leeds, and I needed full-time work then as well because I wanted to stay in Leeds. There was bills to pay like we all got. A job came up at Fitness First at the gym. I don't think that chain exists anymore in the UK, but I worked there in sales, so I started to be good at the sport and the coaching side, and then the selling side started to come into it for me. Enjoyed that. Gym environment was good fun. Loved all that. Like good couple of years there, but I was still coaching and still playing football as well. So I was doing like three things like to make ends meet. And then the opportunity to work full time for a year at the football club came up. So I sort of left Fitness First and then started coaching and working in the offices at Leeds United in the community programme. And that really gave me more experience about setting up partnerships with schools, camps, the business development side. And then I was with people as well there who were doing their own side hustle as well. So one of the guys I remember now, I loved his name as well, Rudy Colino. His wife was an actress on Emmerdale, but he'd been a professional footballer. He was a goalkeeper at Barnsley, but he'd started going off and doing his own coaching schools and stuff. And I thought that seems good. And he looked to be like earning good money. He was doing well and doing that. And I thought maybe there's something in that in the future. So I just kept the idea, and a few of us were chatting about it. And then anyway, at the football club, Leeds started to hit a really rough time, sort of in terms of performances on the pitch and financially, and they got relegated. They lost all of the sponsorship. So the bit that I worked in was sponsored by Nike. So they used to get a minimum of £250,000 a year into the programmes that we were delivering. That just got pulled straight away as soon as they got relegated. So that meant everyone and all the stuff we were doing got pulled as well, which is frightening when you think of the impact it was having on the kids and how much money gets thrown around in football, like what that meant. And it meant that some really good people were leaving the football club. I realised that looked sort of a bit shaky in terms of where it was going to go. And at that point, I'd met my then-to-be wife, Rachel. She was finishing her studies. She was from Crosby. And I ended up sort of walking away from the job at the football club because everyone was just losing them. And sort of moved from Leeds over to Liverpool to Crosby, because at the time then Rachel was going through a really, really tough time at home. Her dad was terminally ill with cancer.
She was at Leeds Uni, was she?
She was at Leeds Uni at the Art College, and her dad, his only child, and her mum was back home in sort of Maghull, Crosby area, and he had sort of 8 to 10 weeks after we'd started like going out, if you like, and she'd managed to finish her studies, and at that point moved over to Liverpool really to support the family at that stage, because I didn't really have any job as such then. It was a risk, everything, I suppose, because I didn't even know Liverpool. I knew no one there. I'd lived in Leeds for 7 years, but I felt like maybe it was the right time to move as well and go try something different, and that's what I did. And I came over here, moved to Maghull, and I didn't know, like I say, anybody. I didn't have any work. I managed to start picking up a few favours off friends of theirs who had hours to give, like, can you help for a day here doing that? And I'm like nearly 24 at this stage. I'm thinking, I know it's young, like, but I need to try sort this out a little bit. But there was a lot going on, obviously, with Rachel's dad not being well, and then ultimately not making it. I started to look at what my options were, and I couldn't find any jobs at Liverpool, any jobs at Everton, Tranmere. I was looking around, Preston, Bolton, you mentioned earlier, and none of them seemed to have any vacancies to go and do what I'd been doing at Leeds. I was like, shit. And then I just came across an advert at the library in Maghull, believe it or not, because they didn't have access to the internet at home, so I was going on there to go and start just looking at stuff and kill a few hours and like read and stuff. And then they saw this thing like, do you want to start your own business? And I was like, going back to thinking at Leeds and the conversations that I've been having with people, and I thought, right, I'm not doing anything. There's nothing to lose here. Let's give this number a call. It was the Prince's Trust. So I rang the Prince's Trust in Liverpool. They were based at the university at the time. And it was the best phone call I ever made. The people that I met there, I'm in touch with some of them still today, and they just help. And there's the work that they've done. I don't know if you know much about the charity, but it's all geared towards helping young people, pretty much from the age of 12 up to 30. I was in the enterprise category because I wanted to start a business. They get you in, they talk through, they believe in what you want to do. Because if I suppose at that stage, if I was ringing home and then said, I'm here, I've got no job, and now I'm going to try to start a business, there's parents who are going to start worrying, and like, you know what it's like sometimes. People just think, are you sure that's the right thing to be doing, whether it's coming from a good place or not? But they just believe in what you're going to do, and they'll support you. And then the next minute, I got a £250 grant, which is not much money to start a business, but it enabled me to buy first set of footballs, business cards, and a web landing page, domain, and off I went. And then I started to like build it up from then. So it kind of began in 2005, a bit like a Joe Wicks story, if you like. I remember him saying his first exercise class he did in a park in London with 5 kids on it. Mine had 4 on it in Lydiate Park, and 2 of those were Rachel's cousins. I was like, oh, that's a good start. But next week it was 6, then it was 10, and then the first school rang, and it just went from there, really.
Mate, that is a mega story, that, isn't it?
The start was it, like, yeah. And then the following year, sort of 2006, I'd started to get a little bit of a name for myself around an area where no one knew who I was. I had no mates there. I remember one of the family there had given me, this was because we're going back a few years here now, there was not, and certainly in the car I was driving, there was no sat-nav and stuff. I was even on the mobile phones there wasn't, and it was like, yeah, there's an A to Z, so I was using that to find the school I was going to, and I was like, what the heck, like, I was running around, but started to just grow out, and I thought, right, I'm finding my way around here, I'm going to try to go a little bit bigger. I'm going to set up a tournament, and I'm going to just see if we can get a Liverpool player to come and see if we can get it on Granada News. And it happened. Jamie Carragher gave us a call one afternoon. I thought it was one of my mates taking the piss, like from back home, put on a Scouse accent. He was like, "It's Jamie Carragher," and all that. I was like, "No, it's not." He goes, "Mate, it is." And I went, "You're having me on. Diggers, it's you or one of my mates." He's like, No, it's Jamie here." And I went, "Seriously?" He goes, "Yeah." He goes, "You're doing a tournament tomorrow, aren't you?" And I went, "Yeah." He goes, "I'm going to be there."
No
so
way.
I said, honestly, he goes, "Yeah, what time is it? 2:00? He says, "Yeah, I'll be there at 2. And I'll stay for as long as you want and meet all the kids." The weather was sideways. It was a storm. The school had put a gazebo up. It was blowing a gale. And I was like, "Oh, this is terrible." All the schools turned up. Granada TV turned up because obviously Jamie Carragher was there. Jamie was there. He stayed 3 hours. He was unbelievable. I've still got the picture of me and him in the head teacher's office.
How the fuck did you get him to come? How did you get him to come?
I just literally sent an email up to the football club and said, "I'm doing this. I'm trying to get more kids involved in what I'm doing. I've been helped by the Princess Trust. I'm just trying to get this going and get more kids participating in sport." And I just didn't think it'd come to anything. They never replied to the email, and the reply was Jamie calling me. I was like, "Wow, that was amazing." And it really sort of like put what I was doing just on, because it wasn't a franchise or anything then, on a local level, sort of up a couple of notches, and like people were like, yeah, that was really good. And within a couple of months, all of the schools that had signed up to the tournament had got in touch and were booking clubs for September. So my business had just gone from me and my van going around like a couple of schools to sort of 10 plus schools, and I was now starting to look for staff. And that's how the franchise model, if you like, started to begin to grow.
Mate, that is absolutely mega. It's proper entrepreneurship, that.
I felt a bit like still in our office now in McGull, there's a couple of those, there's the Only Fools and Horses like cast in the little caricatures, that bounce around and stuff that are on the office desk. Because I did feel a bit like, just coming up with ideas and keep believing in what you're doing and just talking and chatting and networking and just keep getting out there every day. And it suddenly just started to go. In the first year, I remember then going back to the Princess Trust and sat down with Gareth and Paul, who were helping me, and the mentor that I had at the time then, and first year's books. I was like, oh God, what are these? How do you do this and all that? And managed to turn 29,000 over in the first year from nothing, with no website, a bag of footballs, 200 quid. And I was like, that's not too bad, that. I didn't earn that when I was like working in my job before. So I'm like thinking,
can you give me any points? If there's a young lad in his 20s watching this right now and he's trying to do exactly what you're doing, apart from buying one of your franchises, could you give him any low lights that you kind of got over? Can you remember anything that like knockbacks, or could you give me an idea of like any knockbacks?
Yeah, I mean,
because I feel like it's easy to talk about the good stuff, isn't it? I think it's sometimes good to reflect on the bad.
There's knockbacks even now, like all like that happen, but yeah, I think. I was lucky that the support network always and now has been there as well, because I think if I didn't have that, when there are those hardest points, and there's the days where it was slow until that tournament as well, where I only had 2 schools and 2 nurseries. One of those was up in Southport as well, by the way, and I was earning like £150 a week at the start. Yeah. I can't live off that, like it didn't, but I was just keeping going and just muddling through.
So when you say you get to school, so the school would let you advertise to all the students, and you do a football class at 6 and 7 and 8 o'clock or something like that. Yeah. And you do 1 day a week or something. Yeah, do 1 day a week, or go do one after school, and then build up and like build my reputation and build up the holidays and all of that. And it was like knockbacks. Oh, we've got someone in, and you get that now. Our franchisees have that. Everywhere's got competition, of course, but it was. Just keep believing in doing what you're doing, and that was the biggest thing, really. Like, I think you've got to have patience to be successful, haven't you? I think everyone's chasing the next thing all the time, and sometimes you just got to stop, breathe, and just appreciate what you have done already. Which from nothing, even to have a couple of things, was pretty cool. Don't be too hard on yourself, and just
you know where you want to go. Only you really know what that looks like, and just keep following that path really. And we're all going to get knockbacks, and sometimes you'll think it's a failure. If you're not getting to that point as quickly as you want to, but you'll get there eventually, I think.
There's always a lesson, isn't there? But at the time, it doesn't feel like it. It feels like it feels like the world's going to end. There's so many knockbacks, isn't there? We could have the next hour talking about that as well, because there's been plenty. Yeah, it's difficult, isn't it? Because even now, so I think we've been doing franchising since 2012, and there's always a brand or a company that's you admire, and they pop out of nowhere. Sometimes it seems like, or they don't. They've been around for ages, and it feels like you're never going to get to their size or what they look like. But at the same time, I think once you've been doing it a while, you realise that they'll only show the highlights online, and when you get to the crux of it and meet the people who actually run it, they're just as much struggling, just as much as they're.
Yeah, because that's it. You can just portray and put anything out that you want to on social media, and I've personally never been using social media over the years, like on Facebook and all stuff like that, because sometimes I've not got it, and I've not had the confidence to just put out the bad stuff as well, or the things that don't go well, and there's like I say, there's been plenty of that, and that's something as an organisation we're trying to get better as well in terms of like the social stuff. But you're 100% right. You can just put all the good stuff out, and people might buy into that and see that, God, that's just constantly good. And
but the reality of that is...
No, it's not at all, is it?
No,
not at all.
I actually wrote a post this morning and deleted it. I'm going to put it out, but it's about understanding that as well and not letting it eat you up too much. I'm trying to talk to someone who might be thinking about being a football coach of one of your franchisees, is that it's not going to be easy and there's going to be knockbacks, but it's having self-belief that will get you through.
Self-belief, and you know, when you're selling franchising, you're telling people sort of, what to expect. You've got to be honest with people as well. Yeah. And I stress that enough, like when I meet them before we award the franchise, and tell them, but you're going to have to be patient here, and you need to have a plan B with things as well. And if you've got children to support and you're paying a mortgage already, because our franchisees, some of them are at different stages of their life as well. The pressure builds quite quickly if you've not got the early wins as well, and it's all about trying to get those, but be prepared for things to take a little bit of time. But if you keep trusting the process, it will happen. It will happen. And anything like that, you can put that to anything in life, like
I was going to jump in and just say, like, even if it does come sometimes quick as well, though, it makes me worry if it comes too quick as well, because I think it'll go quick.
It can fall apart quickly, and I've had that happen with our franchise network as well for different reasons. I'm happy to sort of talk about that as well if you want.
Touch base on it a little bit.
So after that first year that I said to you, and I managed to sort of turn over 30,000, it was still me on my own. Let's dust myself down, have a holiday. Year 2, off we go. Got to the end of year 2, 50,000 turnover. Okay, that's pretty good. That's better than 30,000. Year 3, up to 100,000. I was like, I'm onto something here. I'm building a model. I'm making this work. I've got staff working. I started to pilot the franchise in different areas. So, like I said, I lived in Leeds for 7 years. Still had good friends up there who were football coaching and working in sport. Booked a couple of schools up there for the holiday periods. Put the brand up there, Active Soccer as it was. People were booking onto camps. They sold out all the time. Did it over back in Macclesfield, which is where I was from as well. So I had sort of the Liverpool thing going, Leeds, Harrogate and Macclesfield. And it was me running all of them. But I was starting to see whether the brand was working and people were receptive to it and would book on, and they were. And I was like, okay. Right. And then going back to sort of what I was thinking about at Leeds and the conversations I was having with all the coaches there that wanted more work. And some of them were entrepreneurial and had other attributes other than just being a good football coach. They could do the selling side, etc. I thought, because franchising's becoming a bigger thing now, and back then in 2008 when I started to really think about it, no one really knew what franchising was. But I was just reading, and like I knew McDonald's that was the obvious one to think of back then, and Domino's and that sort of stuff. But in terms of football and sports franchises and ones in our sector, there weren't that many. Claire, who I know from Baby Ballet, I'd seen that brand and I could see that she was starting to franchise. I thought, I could maybe try and franchise this, because I could help fill a hole for these people that I've met, that I've chatted to, that maybe want to do something, start growing a business and see where it goes. And end of 2009 sold the first franchise. So I've been doing it by myself for 4 years. successfully. So the model was there. I'd gone and done it, so no one could question that when they wanted to come and have a chat about how it works, because I had living proof, and I was still running that as the master area, which we've still got now to this day. But yeah, the first franchise came on, second one, and then the third franchise, it was our first one down south, who are still a franchise today. So they've just celebrated 15 years last month, which is amazing, Leon and Darren. But it grew quite quickly then, and I went to a couple of shows, not franchise related ones, ones to do with sport, sports careers, etc. And suddenly 3 franchises went to 20, 25 across the UK. But back then, in comparison to now, there was no platforms in terms of being able to take all of the camp money and everything. People were paying by cash. It was check payments. It was very different. Social media was just starting to become a thing. So managing a network of people across the UK, where I didn't even at that point have a full head office base, and it was still very much myself, no investor, coming from that £200 Princess Trust start, I was like, oh, this is getting a little bit bigger. For me personally, my bandwidth was at its maximum.
Anyone's bandwidth.
And I was like, I couldn't resource it more. And I was like, I started to get the vibe that things weren't happening with the network. And the way we found out that we would get our management fees, we'd have to ask the franchisee for a bank statement. So you ask a franchise, so say, Ryan, how are you getting on in Southport this last month? And your bank statement comes up and you've turned over £200. I'm like, you look like you had 100 children on the camps there, and you've got 2 schools, and there's just a lack of transparency, and it just got worse and worse. But the pressure was building for me personally, and then financially as well, trying to like maintain it all. And I got some good advice off someone, and they were just like, you need to strip it back. If you're passionate about what you're doing, carry on doing that, but clear out all of these people that are causing problems. It's not going to be good representation of your brand. It's not good for you and your health. And just reset, refocus, and that's what started to happen. And just got rid of the network and stripped it right back to 5 franchises. And then just got my head down and started to just reevaluate what I was doing. My passion and purpose hadn't gone away. This is what I love. I said to you at the start, I can't really think of anything else to do. I was a bit scared about what I could go and do, because I felt like I was knee deep in it. I was but I just had to scale it back, and the opportunity to get the head office in Maghull came about then in 2014, which is where we still are now. And that was good because it gave some more security from a revenue perspective. It gave us a solid base to just take stock and start to think about what we're doing, and we grew our master programme again. And to be honest, at that point, I took a break from franchising.
I was going to just scratch on that a little bit, if that's all right. Because we talked about exercise and stuff. Can I ask, it's up to you if you want to share or not, but like mentally, how did you cope with that? Because I know what it's like running a franchise, and I've scaled back and refreshed the network in the past as well.
I struggled.
I struggled with it. I'm just wondering how you cope with it and how do you push through?
Struggled. It's hard. It can be so hard now as well. Like, because I'm my worst enemy for putting too much pressure on myself as well, on everything. And I want things to be done right and well as well. I'm proud about that.
Morally, like as franchisors, we never want anyone to fail.
No,
you go into it wanting it to be a massive success.
I want it to be so successful for them. If I see them and I meet their children, and I want to get to know about them and what they do, and it's not just about the business and stuff. It's you're working with people, aren't you? At the end of the day, and it's not just about the kids on the programs. When the magnitude of what you're doing through franchising, which I absolutely love franchising and what it's about, but it's a lot of pressure to take on as a franchisor when you've got your team to support in your office, then you've got your franchisees to support who are big kids, and then you've got all their little kids as well who need the programs and stuff, and you're just dealing with so many people, aren't you? So many different dynamics and everything. And personally, you want it all to go as well as it can do for everyone, don't you? From the people that are sat by in the office to the people running their own business to the kids that are going home after one of your camps. It's like
it's a lot, isn't it?
It's a lot, and at times it's been. I'll be honest, I'll hold my hand up. It's felt like too much. And my escapism from it is, and I know we were talking about it a little bit before, has always been sort of exercise, and the scale of that seems to have got bigger and bigger and bigger. The older I've got and the longer I've been running the business, I touched or dipped my toe in the water with an endurance event when I was working at Fitness First with two guys. One of them came up with a harebrained idea. He goes, "Well, do you fancy a holiday this summer?" I was thinking, yeah. I thought he was going to say Ibiza or something, and I was like, "Go on then." He goes, "What about we take some bikes, go down to Fitness First Barcelona and cycle back to Leeds for 12 days away on bikes and just tour Europe?" I was like, "What sort of bikes? Motorbikes?" And he went, "No, push iron bikes." I was like, "Right, all right." He goes, "Go on then, I'm in." So we Leeds Bradford Airport, 3 of us with bikes, getting them on the plane, and just went to Barcelona. Took a spin class there. This was 2003. With all the Spanish people at Fitness First Barcelona, and then we set off, and 12 days later, 1,200 miles later, we were camping on the side of the road and all sorts. We ended up back in Leeds, and I absolutely loved it. It was proper out of my comfort zone, something totally different. But I realised even then I was sometimes struggling with stuff, like just personally, like mentally and things, and getting out and just doing all of that exercise in the for a few days, for 12 days, I absolutely loved it. And I was it just helped with so much stuff. I was getting so much clarity on other things that I wanted to do, or things that the last year in my life felt like they hadn't made sense. And I was like, I need to keep doing these things, as well as the weekly stuff that I do, running and going to the gym and all of that. So since then I've done some crazy events in terms of like I cycled again in 2009. Repeat, to be honest, it was Barcelona to Liverpool this time. That raised money for a cancer charity in Liverpool. I've done Land's End John O'Groats on the bike in 7 days. That was 2019. I've done a triathlon of Great Britain, where I've climbed the 3 highest mountains, swam in the lakes and locks at the bottom, and then cycled in between them.
No way.
Yeah. Ironman the other year, and then most recently in March this year, 100 miles in 24 hours.
Fucking hell.
So I've done sort of 5 or 6 really like big endurance events. I don't go on about it, like I say, I'm not on social media, I'm not putting it out there saying, look at this, look what I've done. I do it for me, and just because I know how it helps me, and it gets me through some of the times where it's really hard running the business, where it's hard being a dad and all of that. And I know when I've fallen off my bike and I've broke my ribs and it's dark, fuck, that hurts. That's been this is a tough day, but I get back up and go again. And like, it's those moments through those events sometimes where they're amazing, by the way, when you're doing them and you finish them. But God, there's some really hard parts in it, and you're questioning everything. But you can really look back and use that as the sort of medicine to sort of take when you've got like a day that's not going to plan in the business and stuff, and realise like you will get through it. You know, tomorrow will come. Just breathe and like reset, go again.
The sun always rises the next day.
100%, mate. Yeah.
Mate, I fucking love that. It makes me want to go and do an event like that. I've talked about it quite a bit. There's a couple of little things I want to do, but I never seem to find the time because of the business. But having the daily. I've just had a mate who I met on the Goldman Sachs 10,000 Small Business Programme, which I did sort of September to December last year. And he's based not too far away from here. His business is over in Chester, and he lives in North Wales. And he's just, for the first time since he's been running his business, and it's scaling pretty quickly at the moment, his business, it's going really well, but he's just gone off to South America for 3 weeks, and he's been on the Inca Trail and out trekking, and he didn't take his phone. Well, he took his phone with him, but he had it switched off pretty much the whole time there, and had an absence from it all. And he was really worried about how the business had run and performed, because he's never done that before. But he put the plans in place with the team, and they stepped up, and he put the trust in them, and it was good. And he managed to like go and do it, and he said it's the best thing he's ever done. And just thinking about you there and stuff, and something like that would be cool. I wouldn't mind doing ayahuasca. Go and do an ayahuasca in Peru or something like that.
Yeah.
I think something like that might be cool.
Until you do anything, you don't really realise if it's possible or not.
The best thing I did, the one thing I can sort of ever done at starting, it probably wasn't long enough. I went to Wim Hof's house, spent the weekend. I went.
Have you been on one of his?
Yeah. It's called Base Camp, but it's basically his house.
Right. Okay.
You're in it's in a greenhouse in his back garden, basically. Spent the weekend with him. That was pretty cool. Out in the Netherlands. Yeah, that was it was a mad one, that, because I went out there. I booked it a year before, quite a bit beforehand, and when I was there, my dad died, which was a bit of a mad thing on the second day. Yeah.
While you were at Wim Hof's?
Yeah, his house, yeah. Yeah, it was mad. We had a good chat with him that day, actually. He's a fucking sound fella. If you ever get a chance, go.
Sorry, mate, I don't know if you want to talk about that. Was your dad ill, or was that just totally
so my dad got poorly in 2012 with cancer. He got bowel cancer, and then he beat bowel cancer. I think Mum would know the dates, but let's say roughly 2000, and I think it was 15. And then from the treatment of the cancer, he got Parkinson's, and then dementia, because you get all the treatments kind of catalyse other things. Wow. And then he died, and I think Dad died. Was it May before last? It wasn't last year, it was the year before Dad died.
2 years.
Yeah, 2 years ago Dad died. And so, yeah, my dad would basically... so it was 2 years ago. That's when I went to Wim's house. It was May. It was mad because my brother took his own life in 2018. So my brother took his own life on my dad's birthday. And my dad died roughly either on my brother's birthday or like the day after. It's mad, just our coincidence.
Yeah.
Mad.
Oh, God.
But yeah, and so my dad was on...
You wonder how these things
happen
or come about, don't you?
Like, see, like, people talk about the universe. I don't know about the universe. I don't feel like... I say it sometimes, but I actually don't know if I believe in the universe. What I believe in is like... I think things just make sense. It just happens because it needs to happen. It's not I don't think the universe exists. I think that's the space and the stars and things. I think sometimes things are just there to be either good or bad reminders of what life can be like sometimes.
100%. I'm just thinking of stuff that feels a little bit similar, not the loss, but like things that we've been having to deal with more recently as a family as well, where there's been some strange coincidences.
Yeah, it's a coincidence, isn't it? And at the same time,
you think, is it, or is it kind of like a bit of a spiritual thing? Like, is it that kind of meant to be, and you can lean on it and get all your strength from that when you? Yeah,
I feel like it's there to support you.
Yeah.
Isn't it? Because it means nothing to anyone else in the world.
No, they won't get it. Yeah, only you get it.
Yeah, only I get it. So it's my mum gets it. So it's like, is it there? Did it happen because it's there to support you through it?
Yeah.
It's a weird one, isn't it? I don't fucking know. But yeah, so my dad was on end of life, so it goes nail by mouth, and he was in a nursing home for a year or something, and then he just gave up. I think he was just sick of it.
Yeah.
And I said my goodbyes before I went, because I knew it had happened while I was away. I just fucking knew. And then I was there Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and I got the phone call on the Sunday morning. But luckily I was doing 500 reps of cold, breath work with Wim Hof and jumping in a cold tub, so I was probably in the best place in the world. Because I was going straight to the fucking pub, so yeah.
Yeah, well, I was going to say, you couldn't be in a better place, could you?
Yeah.
I bet that was some experience with Wim Hof.
It was. I've been in cold water therapy for a while. It was Kay I think it was you that introduced me to it, Kay, was it? Yeah, it was you, weren't it, that introduced me to it. And then, did I do my... did I do my first one? I did my first one on my own, didn't I? Or did I come...
You did your first one on your own, and then you came to the reservoir with
your
mum.
Yeah, with my mum, yeah. And then that was it. And I've got a fucking cold tank, one that refrigerates itself and everything. Like I feel like anything like that just reset your brain. That's what I was trying to get back to, was coping, isn't it? Sometimes coping. Do you like it's coping with stuff, isn't it? When you run a business or life.
It's finding what your strategies are, and they can change, and it's trying to be consistent with them as well sometimes, because you can be up and down, can't you, with the business, and sometimes when life gets busy as well, some of your coping strategies sometimes fall by the wayside because you're either too tired or... I hate saying I've run out of time in the day, because we all get the same amount of time, and I know people make excuses like I haven't got time and stuff like this to do that, but if you really want to do something, you can make time. It's just, I know some people have more challenges than others, and I'm not the person to say that you should be doing that and they haven't done it, but it's like you've got to try and be as consistent as you can with understanding what helps you tick, really, and finding out what that is and what it looks like. And if it's going for a run, go and do it. Hopefully it's not having 10 pints, but that's all right every now and again. I think not every night. I don't think, especially if you need to run a business. But
it's interesting. We had a tiny little chat downstairs, and you said about something about you putting like making sure you do something, but then being too hard on yourself when you don't do it.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying I've found a way doing this, but recently my life's been a little bit more chaotic than usual. And I've always been a person who gets up relatively. Most days I've not set my alarm clock since, well, about 17, since I left school. I just have been someone who wakes up at 4 naturally. Just wake, 4? Yeah, 4, half 4, 5 o'clock. Yeah. I'm awake. Okay. Just wake up naturally. I've not set my alarm clock ever. And but 9 o'clock I'm fast. You know, I'm bed. You know, on a night out I'm the most boring person after 10 o'clock. Like I want to go to bed.
Yeah. I'm like that now.
But it's what I did. I can't remember when I did it, but because my life got a little bit more chaotic and having kids and running a business and being travelling a lot, is I let myself off the hook about not doing my morning workouts. And I started talking to myself in the same tone at night and saying to myself, it's 9 o'clock, go and do a run now.
Yeah.
And stop telling yourself you're tired, you're just being lazy.
Yeah.
There's a difference.
Yeah.
There's a difference because you were tired at 5 o'clock in the morning. You still wake. I don't wake up like fucking hell buzzing. I wake up tired.
Yeah.
I wake up like I still need a fucking coffee and a piss.
Yeah.
And you know what I mean? Like I still wake up tired, but I just wake up.
Yeah.
So you still have to get yourself into that mood, don't you? Stretch out, find your gear, put it on, go for a run.
That's it. Yeah.
So it's the same thing at night. Like if I know I've missed in the morning, or I've missed for a couple of days, I'm not going to sit there going, I am a robot. I am not going to go out and train. I'll just go and train.
Yeah.
And removing that blockage that I'd put in for myself and just saying, I am going to train at some point today.
Yeah.
It kind of changed the way I looked at things. And I bought a kettlebell for my house. I've got a gym in my house anyway. I've got a watt bike and full set of weights and everything. And I don't know if this might help you going forward, is to, instead of when the kids are in bed, just say, I'm going to go for a 20-minute run.
Yeah.
Or a walk, or I'm going to get a kettlebell out. And that, for me, was a big change in the way I kind of looked at things. So instead of berating myself all day and trying to... Because I also think sometimes if you haven't trained in the morning, then you use that as a tool to batter yourself all day.
I'm so bad at doing that because it's hard for me unless I do get up. I wake up early, like you. I always kind of have done, but I don't really go out and train first thing in the morning. Sometimes I do, and but I'm not one of those that's out every morning doing it. And then if stuff starts going wrong during the day, or start and I've not done any exercise, or I've planned to do it at that point, and now it's not happened because something's happened, I do berate myself, and I'm still guilty of that now. And
just try it. Next time you sat on the couch, or I did 75 hard. That taught me a lot as well. 75 hard, so that's 2 trainings a day, 45-minute workouts, both one's outside, no alcohol, 5 gallons of water, read 10 pages of a book, no chocolate, no sweets, follow a diet plan. And that taught me, again, the same thing, is that I did that. 75 days on the bounce, 2 kids, running a business, 2 dogs.
Fucking how did you feel at the end of that?
I loved it. Yeah. I did actually about 79 days. And I think I could have carried on, but things changed a little bit in my life. I think I will go back and do it again. I think a lot of people try and do it once a year. Yeah. And I think I'll probably go back
just and do it. As a big reset.
Yeah. But that again taught me again is that you're not tired, you're just lazy. Yeah. You don't realise it. You tell yourself you're tired, but you're actually not. You're lazy. And what you can do is just push yourself for 10 minutes and you go and do it and change your routine. Change your routine to sort your situation out, and then you train at night, and then get up if you wake up the next morning, you want to train in the morning as well. There's
it starts like compounding, it just keeps building and getting better all the time. You might go a little bit further, a little bit longer or whatever, but I question anybody that would argue that going and doing something like, say, even for 10 minutes, or I sometimes like to go out a little bit longer, but you don't come back and you feel better for it.
Yeah, mate, like literally
100%. Once you've had that shower and a coffee or whatever, a bit of food, and you're like, that was good. I've done it. Now I feel all that's made sense from what I've gone and done. Yeah. That you can get on with the next thing. Then for me, like running the business, that's kind of my self-therapy in my meetings that I have when I have a word with myself. It's when I'm out running and stuff like that, and I'm like, I get, my team might disagree, the franchise network's like my better ideas, but they start to come when I'm outside and I'm moving, I'm out of the way and doing things, and that's why I need to keep it there all the time, really. And what, you said you're a parent as well. I'm a parent. I've always, obviously physical activity and moving and stuff's always been and is a huge part of my life, but as I've become a parent as well, and I've not been able to do some of the team sports that I could commit to every weekend because the kids stuff is priority, and that's fair enough. I've had years of doing it as well, and I want to see them doing it. Is that I know, like, if I can keep myself fit, healthy and strong, I'm going to be a better dad for them. I don't want to be out in one of the national parks or doing something and I can't pick them up and lift them up the hill or over a gate and stuff because I'm old and knackered, I'm struggling to tie my shoelaces and all of that. Whilst I've got full physical health, which I'm very grateful for at the moment, because that can change. I want it to be able to help me sort of be a good dad as well, so I can be active with them and do stuff, and they've got someone who's got energy whilst we're here. I think all that's dead important. And
me too. And I think it's inspiring for your kids as well. Yeah. The kids seeing you train and run and work out, I think it's good for them to get them out.
What I'd love to do with our business as a sort of new programme is trying to help families more as well. A lot of the stuff we do is centred around, everything that we do just around the kids. But it'd be good for us to start, if there was a buy-in, I don't know whether families would be interested in this, but like having workshops or fun sessions where you could get families together from a community or a school and show some of them what you can do, not trying to be patronising and show that this is what you should be doing and you're not doing it right as a mum or a dad, because that's not for me to say that. No. You don't have to spend loads of money to go and do stuff with the kids outside, or if it's raining you can still do these fun activities inside and stuff, and like just put some like educational fun sessions on for parents to come and see if they're not into it, what benefit, if they start doing it, they might get personally that will then feed into the relationships that they have with the kids as well.
I think if you made that space, I guess for an adult, it's the embarrassment part, isn't it? They've got to get over their own ego and their own pride. Yeah. And then I think once they got into that space and got over it and enjoyed it, like if I take Logan to football at a football club at Stanley on a Thursday night, and I think to myself, like, when we get there early, we kick the football around. I wonder if the coaches said, right, Dad's wear your stuff next week and you're going to get involved in it. Yeah. I wonder how many would do it and if they would get involved. And I guess if you created a space for 45 minutes that the dads and the past, taught them how to play, I wonder if it would work.
I think it's worth doing. And, those little things, sometimes you have to, your child will never forget the moment you played with them. No. And, it might not seem a big thing, and sometimes we always think about the bigger things, don't we, as the things that we'll remember. It's actually probably when it's the quieter times or as we're getting older, some of the little, what I've seen, insignificant moments are actually the biggest things. And I think doing that with your son would be, it's a small thing in the grand scheme of things, but actually in the years to come you'll probably laugh about that when he's growing up. Do you remember when we played and you missed the open net, Dad, or whatever, or whatever, and it's just creating good memories, isn't it? Yeah,
I like I said, I didn't like any football, any sports growing up, and neither did Mum and Dad. But now I regularly taking him tonight actually. Yeah. And then I always try and go to the park and buy a football or go on the beach with him. And I think it is probably capturing them little memories with him. Yeah, I think that's probably the best bit about his day actually.
Yeah, 100%.
I've lost complete track of where we're up to on your career, so I'm just going to try.
We were around the business in 2014 where we just started.
And how old were you then?
Well, I'd just become a dad. So I've, 3 girls. Eldest Grace is 10 now, so she was one. I was 34. So I've been running the business nearly 10 years, and I was 34, so still a young guy, I guess.
It's mad, isn't it? In that 10 years, we've literally breath talk about, but I know them lessons you'll have learnt in that 10 years will have been huge. And then becoming a dad, and being in a long-term relationship and becoming a dad, you learn so much, don't you? Just don't even realise.
Yeah, getting a house for the first time, and just so many other big sort of, I guess, landmark moments in your life and your development, and still being pretty young. Some of my mates were doing it, some weren't. Some were still out. No partner doing whatever they wanted really, but when you've got the business, you start becoming a parent and stuff. Your responsibilities certainly change, don't they?
Yeah, and running's been a big part of my life in terms of I'd say the last, how long, Kay? 4 years, 3 years?
Running? Yeah, I'd say the last few definitely.
Yeah.
Maybe 3 years.
3 years have definitely been my biggest coping strategy. I wish I'd known them when I was 20. Yeah. I did this when I started this when I was 26. So I wish I'd known it then, because my coping strategies then were shit compared to they are now. Yeah.
Running is so powerful.
How fast did you 5k in you? On a good day?
I did a 10. Well, I've not done a 5k time specifically. I did 10k in Manchester in March this year, and did that in 38 minutes.
Fucking hell, that's flying.
Yeah, but look, it's not like I said when I did the 100-mile thing as well. Like, I actually had a couple of teachers come and speak to us the week after, because I went into the school and spoke to the kids about it, and that's what I'm going to be speaking about later at this thing in Liverpool Uni. And they actually said I got inspired to go and do a 5k or something at the weekend park run, and I was like, love that, like, because it's not there me trying to sort of, like you say, ego rub and say, like, I can run 100 miles or like I can run it in this time or whatever. I think just go and move and run and do anything, and all of that's good. Don't compare yourself to like having to be at this speed, or don't go and take part in an event because you think everyone's going to be running it this fast. It's not like that at all. I think these big events as well, I enjoy getting involved. I did the Manchester Marathon again. I do it every year. I absolutely love it. Just the community and everyone coming together and doing stuff. It's
time goes out the window to us.
Yeah, it doesn't. You know, sometimes it might matter to you personally, but just being there and like part of these things is just so good. And I've still got a bit of speed in the locker, I guess. Like,
that's good, that, mate. I think my best is something like 54 or something like that. 54. But
no, which is a mate under sub 60.
Yeah, well, been running for 3 years as well, so it's not like I've been doing it as long as you. But but again, my longest runs have been the ones I've not been asked. Yeah, my best runs are ones I don't even look at my watch. Yeah, it's about clearing my head. It's about enjoying the run, about the views, about having a minute. Yeah. That's what it's about. Forget about the time. Yeah, forget about the time. But even then, like, I bet that time has improved over the 3 years. Yeah. And I think one of the things I'd say to anybody is you're never too old. You're never too old to start running. You're never too old to go and start a business. If you need to change your life, go and do it. Yeah, 100%. Like, you only, as far as we all know, we only get one. Go and do something. Don't think about not doing it. And if you don't know anything, like I say, until you've done it. Like 6 months' time from now, you could have 6 months of regrets. Like, you've not done this. I've not gone and started doing exercise. I've not done this thing. Or you could have 6 months of progress, and it can be small progress. Yeah. But just go and do it. Yes. Like, don't hold yourself back. Go and do it. That's 100% like what I think everybody should be trying to do. Because if we had a world of everyone trying to do a little bit more, and that can be being kind to other people, that can be going and doing something for yourself, it would be a much better place, wouldn't it? Yeah, mate, it would. Yeah. Right, so 34, just had a kid. Yeah. And you've franchised, or you've not franchised? I've franchised, and I've got franchises across the UK, but we're hitting problems here. Then you refresh the network. Yeah. Throw a divorce in there as well. Lovely. So sadly, like, we ended up separating, me and Rachel. Yeah. Just different paths. Grace was still young. Like I say, I moved. If you take it right back to where I'd come from, I was living in Leeds and moved to Liverpool. So although I had a network and knew people here, because I've been running a business, been here like 10, 11 years, my roots weren't here. And that was a really tough time, like trying to balance everything. I moved over to Parbold area for 18 months, still trying to run the business. I'd scaled it back, but we had this premises now in like Maghull, so that was another business in itself that we'd set up. So it's a separate company to the one that does the delivery with the kids and the franchising, etc. And it was a lot going on. I was finding myself running a lot more then, just trying to cope with it. It was really hard, and eventually I ended up sort of relocating back to Macclesfield area, which is where I've grown up, with Laura now as well, who I met sort of 3 years later, and two more children, so three daughters. But whilst all that was going on, it was just kind of like a bit more focused time on myself, if you like, and just not chasing and worried about how the business was expanding. As long as it was still there, I knew I'd come back. I just needed to make sure I was fulfilling all of the things I needed to do for the people that I was responsible for and the smaller franchise network, and seeing their progression and growth. And I wasn't that bothered about my own at that point. It was just about making sure that still existed, because that's my baby as well. Like, I've worked every single day on this, and I still really want to do something with it. But at the moment, just get myself in a better place mentally,
physically. I was all right mentally for sure. So that when I felt the time was right, I could go and give the business a proper.
Did you get any counselling around that, mate? Did you see any professional help that way?
No, I've had mentors and coaches for the business over the years. I've got one at the moment as well, and I find that really helps. I get to know them quite well as well.
They become like a bit of a therapist anyway.
Yeah, for sure. But like in terms of actually going and sitting and having one-to-one counselling and therapy, it's not been for me. I've thought about it. Yeah. I've read and explored it, but I've never gone and done a full number of weeks and say 12 weeks sessions on it and gone deep on all that sort of stuff. I've not done it. Where I've done that, I've kind of been stubborn in my own way. Maybe I should have done it. Maybe other people in my closest network were probably annoyed that I've not done it.
Yeah.
And I get that, and I'm sorry, but I've put the trainers on. And that I've just gone and had a word with myself for a long time.
I think that helps. I told you before, like the amount of tears I shed in that coast road running. Yeah. I think it really helps, doesn't it?
Yeah, get it out. Even if it's putting on some music that really gets to it as well whilst you're out doing it and all of that. And you can find ways. I think you've got to find a way, haven't you? Yeah. Like it's only you that can find that way. But no, to answer the question, mate, I haven't had like counselling sort of one-to-one to work through some of this stuff, and I'm not saying I wouldn't as well now, because I've just gone through a really, or say me, Laura and the family have gone through a really tough 15 months just now at the moment, and it's slowly like coming at the end of the tunnel, but there's been some really big family stuff going on as well, like over the last few months, and I've struggled again. Thought could I go get counselling and haven't. It's just to carry on running and stuff like that.
There's nothing wrong with that though, is there?
No.
I think if you can find your own thing that works for you, and you still study it and it's worked.
Yeah. Yeah, there's no right or wrong, is there? I mean,
Laura might be at home, sat at the bottle of whiskey though, and going nuts at you.
Where is he again? Checking Strava and all that, like, yeah.
3 hours later.
Yeah.
2 marathons in.
Yeah. At least I'm coming in with mud on the trainers and not like swinging through the front door, like, but yeah. I don't know. There's no right or wrong, like you say. I think, and as I've found as I've got older as well, you find that thing more, I think, that should work for you. Hopefully you
create a toolbox.
Yeah, and you keep trying to add little bits to it.
Yeah.
But you've got some bigger tools that you use more often than not, I think.
Have you just dig a tiny little bit more? Is there been any points where, like, so I'll give you some examples of me where I've been like to a point where I'm sat on the edge of the bed, literally not moving, kind of just sat in sort of like a paralysed state, thinking I can't fucking do this anymore. I physically don't want to get up today, or I'm gonna just, like, I have been in some really bad states where I've been lay on the bedroom floor, sat on the edge of the bed, Charlene's gone to work, and I'm gonna plan to go and kill myself today. I have done that a couple of times, and then I've gone no, and so my toolbox is a bottle of water. So I'll go and buy a bottle of water. It's usually a 2-litre bottle of water. And I'll crack it open, mate, and I have been in fucking bits planning to go and kill myself, and started there and drink a bottle of water, or I'll go and put my fucking trainers on and I'll go for a run, and the whole time, sometimes I'm crying my eyes out walking down the stairs to go and by the time I get back up through, I'm like a fucking new person. I'm like, I want to take on the world again.
Yeah.
Have you ever done anything like that? Have you been like I feel like that's been my therapy for running for that.
There has. There's been times recently where I've just been questioning what on earth's going on, and how am I going to come back from this, or how are we going to get through to the next day. Just for context on that, like, my dad's terminally ill at the moment as well, and has been, and was told he had a year left to live with cancer 18 months ago now, and my dad's still here, texting me this morning saying good luck on this podcast. I wonder what he thinks when he listens to it, but
I think you're amazing.
Thanks, mate. And he that's been really hard, and it's been hard for him, and I know that, and hard for my mum and the family, as it is for all families that struggle with that, for the reasons like you say. There's moments where they want to give up as well, and it's not because they don't want to be here because you're here. It just must be so hard, and I've not been in that position with illness myself. But whilst that's been going on, so my two other daughters, I've mentioned Grace, I've got Poppy who's 4 and Harper who's nearly 2. Last January, Harper was only 4 months old, and we were sent to hospital because her head was measuring a little bit bigger than it should have been, and they were like, we need to put her on an MRI scan in April last year. So we went to the hospital, Children's Hospital. She was on a machine and everything there for the whole day, brain scans and everything. And a couple of weeks later, they called us in and had a meeting. And at the time, then the consultant said to us in paediatrics, I really don't know how to break this to you both, but we found 3 things on her brain, and we're like shaking, starting to cry in the waiting room, and it was a condition called pachygyria. I'd never heard of it, so I started, like you do, Dr. Google. It's the worst thing you can do, but it does give you some clarity on certain things when you don't feel like you're getting it from the hospital. And worst case scenarios, it was a life-limiting condition that you might not live past the age of 10. So we found that out in April last year. So the world's just rocked. The business is starting to go into a good place. I feel like all the other stuff, all the years of turmoil and carrying on with all this stuff that you get through, I was like, here we go again, like that. It's life, I know stuff, but this is your kids now. I'd rather it be me than my kids. I'm like, what on earth is going on now? Why is this like happening? Like, you just couldn't process it. And then it was regular going to the hospital, more appointments, endless reports coming through the post. I remember getting one in sort of October time last year, just gone. And I was crying reading it at home, like thinking, this can't be happening. Like, what have we done to deserve this? Like, with everything else that's been going on. Anyway, like, got to January this year, and we're going for a checkup, and it was a different doctor at the hospital, and it was the guy who's the highest sort of, if you like, neurologist, can't even say the word, neurologist, from Manchester Children's Hospital. And he came and sat to us, and he said, I need to sit you down here and give you some news. And we were like, what now? We've made a bit of a mistake. And we're like, what? Because we've had living hell for like a year, not sleeping, stressed, put strain on the relationship and everything, as these things do.
Yeah, of course,
it's not small stuff. And we think we can. He didn't even want to say it. She's not got the P word. She hasn't got pachygyria. And we were like, what? Like, Laura's bursting into tears, and
oh my God.
We walked out the hospital, and I was just like, the hairs on the back of my neck was stood up. It was just like, what's going on? Like, because the torment we've had every day, you wake up in the middle of the night, and if it's not thinking about your dad being ill, like at that stage, it was then Harper and stuff, and you're like, all of these things, so you're just like, this is unreal. So we just started to process all of that. Obviously, amazing news, to hear that, but we wanted to get it followed up and all of that, and just check that this is right. But one of the things that we should have been looking for over the last year when they gave us this news was that she would start to have regular seizures and have moments of absence, and she hadn't had any. Anyway, March this year, my eldest daughter, we've been watching, the kids love the Gladiators, they were watching that. And a normal Saturday, that had a normal day, kids have been swimming, like they were eating pizza, watching the Gladiators, etc. And the eldest daughter starts shaking next to me, arms and legs going. And I was like, Grace, I thought she was just trying to mess with Poppy and try to get her to have a duel again, because I'd just been watching it on the telly and all that. And I turned her head back, and she was, her face had changed, she was going blue, and all of a sudden she stopped breathing, 30 seconds. And like, we'd just had this elation of news earlier in the year, and now in March, just gone this year, I was giving CPR. We were screaming. We're ringing the hospital. We've got the ambulance on its way, and she'd stopped breathing in my arms and turned blue. And I was like, I just didn't know what was going on. And it's moments like that where, like, Laura's a teacher and first aid trained. I'm first aid trained, but none of that really matters. Like, until, and I know you've had Jenny on before who does first aid stuff, but. And I think, like, until you're actually in a situation where it happens, then it's your own child. Like, how are you going to cope and deal with it? And it's just like, right, I'm going to have to really, like, think what can I do to try and save this at the moment. So I started giving her CPR. I couldn't get on her mouth because her jaw had locked, and I thought if I try move, I'm going to break it. So I just started on her chest, and then she coughed up. We got her into the recovery position. I could hear the paramedic on the phone saying, "Get her in recovery." So we're in there. 2 sisters are watching her like, "What the hell's going on?" Like, Saturday night's just gone from chilled to 100 miles an hour. And then within minutes, the ambulance and everything and the paramedics were all in, and they got the gas and air on her. 30 seconds, a minute later, Grace is throwing up, and she'd had a seizure, basically, but never had one before. No like trigger signs or anything like that. I hadn't been around anyone, adult or child, on anything.
Never
been around someone who'd had one. And it was just really traumatic. It was
Fucking hell,
it was horrible. So I'm like ringing her mum, who travels over then from Crosby, like she's in the hospital, and we you know, she's all right. She's been to Alder Hey recently and had scans and all of that. That's the eldest one, to check on all of that, and she's just been given the okay. 4 weeks later, this is real car crash TV, this. We've been over in Norfolk because we've got family ties down there. My sister, who works in the business as well, had just turned 40, so she'd booked a holiday home on the Norfolk Broads. We'd had a lovely few days down there, long car journey back. We've just got back. We've just moved house in the middle of all this chaos. So we've gone through the front door. I've just nipped upstairs. I can hear Laura and Grace screaming downstairs. I'm like, what? Run downstairs, and little Harper, the youngest one's having exactly the same thing as Grace did 4 weeks ago, earlier in March. I was like, oh my God, what's happening? Like, literally took her in my arms. We hadn't had the Wi-Fi fitted, and I live in the Peak District at the bottom of there's no signal on 5G, 4G, so we hadn't had the Wi-Fi fitted, so I couldn't even WhatsApp call. I didn't even know you could do 999 from a 111 call. So we were running out, knocking on neighbours' doors to get them to ring, whilst I'm holding Harper, who's doing exactly what Grace did, turning blue. She was breathing still. She didn't have that 30 seconds of not breathing like Grace did. But next minute, the paramedics were, here we go again, in the middle daughter, Poppy's seen this twice now in 4 weeks. And her brain's just like on overload, thinking, what's going on? I've seen my youngest and my eldest sister. And then she's gone off, and the blue lights were on because she ended up having 2 more moments, and it took her a lot longer to come round. But because of everything that had happened over the last 12 months previous about the brain condition and everything, and this being a thing that should have happened, we were like, is that the door's open again now? Is what we've been told right or wrong? So we were just at the hospital again last week. And they've done some tests and checked again, and they're still saying that it is okay. That's just a freak, like we're talking about coincidence. It's a coincidence that the 2 girls have had these. It's a coincidence that she's had it after we've said she's all right. And we're just like, wow, like, mate, what 4 months we've just had. So this year, when I feel like there's so much positivity around us from the business side of things and what we're doing at the moment, I've struggled to share it with our network, and the office team have obviously been seeing it firsthand, and they've been amazing, like stepping up and stuff. But from a personal point of view, over the last 3 months, I've really struggled, like, to be honest, like with all that stuff going on. It really tested it too much when it was like seeing 2 out of your 3 children just like. Mate. In those situations, I was like, whoa. And then dealing with taking Dad to Christie in Manchester and moving house, which is pretty stressful anyway. It's just been so much. So I've had to take a step back from certain things I've offered to do and things over the last few months. And I've only just really, like, I think about a fortnight ago, turned the corner again and started to like feel like I can actually face up to coming and doing this today and all the other stuff that I like doing, because I've always hopefully got a lot of positivity and energy about what I try and do, and I try to be like that. But for the first time, I really got like punched and punched. I was like on the ropes. I thought I actually could feel a knockout coming out here, and everything slowed down. And I even got to the point where we've said it so many times on this chat that the runnings, the therapy, I hadn't even been able to do that over some of the last few weeks, because I actually felt completely fatigued, chronic fatigue. I just had no energy.
Emotionally exhausted.
That's it. And I, even though I wanted to do it, and I knew, I think, like you said, if you go and do it, you will feel better. There has been, going back to the point that you made about it, there have been moments where you've just been lying at the end of the bed or on the sofa or sat somewhere, even just sat in the car on the drive, where you feel like it's too much, and I've been like, this is right now, and I just need to just keep breathing, keep believing, and it'll turn again.
I think sometimes those moments as well, it's okay just to acknowledge that and just say, like, I am not going to fucking do this right now. I just need to exist for a little bit longer.
Yeah, and it's just you just have to park some stuff, and it doesn't matter if we haven't had 3 new franchisees join the network as we wanted to by this point in life, because you can't plan for anything in the future. None of us can. None of us know what's going to happen.
No.
I don't know what's going to happen when I say see you to you guys today, this afternoon. Like, hopefully something really good's going to happen to all of us. But that's the love of running the business as well that keeps me going, because you get the kicks off that as well. But the highs and lows and stuff, I think you can only deal with what you've got to do right now, which is at the moment chatting to you, and I'm loving it. Man,
fucking hell, that is the toughest 4 weeks I've ever fucking had in my life.
Yeah, it's been really, really hard. I admit it, but then, like you say, when you go through these things, just like saying I love going and doing a challenge and stuff physically, it's too early to say that now because it's too raw. It's on the surface still, and we're both trying to get through all of this, and still come to terms with it. After starting to feel like I'd processed it by March, all of a sudden it had just gone crazy again. I think in a couple of months' time, I feel like I'm going to be stronger for this, and we will as a family and stuff like that. But my middle daughter Poppy had, bless her, she'd just got a colouring books and stuff out, and I couldn't believe it. She came home from like the hospital and she'd drawn a picture of the incidences happening. 4 years old, so emotionally she's putting her feelings out and drawn a picture of an ambulance, little stick drawings of sisters lying on the floor and people running, and I'm like, oh my God. But I thought, do you know what, that's pretty cool that she's that tuned in and processing it and doing all of that sort of stuff. And like, I think she's a little warrior in there. Yeah,
she's going to be a little resilient tuck for cocky, isn't she?
So so I know totally gone off on one there, but it's just how life sometimes just throws all this stuff at you, and it doesn't matter what you're doing, whether you're running a business or you're in your job and stuff like that. I think, and do you know what? Some of our franchisees, and I've had some lovely messages off them and people that I speak to regularly around what we do, and all they kept saying was family first. And I thought, sometimes I'm at home and I'm worrying about, have I done enough, or am I doing enough for everyone? Like, are the businesses working, etc. Blah blah blah. And then to get that back, it's like, no, they care. Like, people just care. Like, do you know what I mean?
You've done enough, haven't you? You've probably done enough, haven't you?
Hopefully, but like, you're questioning yourself all the time, and they're like, no, it doesn't matter, we're all right. Even everyone at the office said, go take a week off, don't worry, we'll be all right, family first, just sort yourself out as well, like, because if you're not well, then that's going to be a bigger problem, like, for all of us in a few months' time. But just chill out. Seriously, just chill out. Yeah, well,
they'll see that in you and want you to be okay, because they want to carry on with you, because you'll be a big part of their life, won't you?
Yeah. So, it's been tough time.
Tough on a gin and tonic instead of water. Fucking hell, I didn't know.
I've got to drive, but if it was a 7 o'clock pad, I'd be saying maybe 5 o'clock somewhere.
Okay, mate. Try and go back. So we got the franchise model off. We've gone back, cleared the decks. You started franchising again. We've covered everything, haven't we? We've gone for all the full.
Well, then sort of just can quickly sort of surmise where we've ended up coming up to now as a business and stuff. So we're the day it sticks in my mind forever, the 23rd of March. I hate talking about it, but like, school's shut, so I'm like, whoa.
Yeah.
Things started to go again. Here we go again. Like, what are we going to do? I didn't panic, to be honest, because I thought, the world's not going to end, even though it felt like that.
Yeah.
No one's pushing a button and we're going to just end up in outer space or something. Like, just hold, be patient, just see what happens. And I always think things back and have comparisons with sport and stuff. And at the moment it's pre-season for a lot of football teams, just started, and then other sports. And it was the first time, like, in running the business since 2005, where, other than going on a holiday and stuff like that, I didn't actually have to go and be anywhere. I couldn't be anywhere because I had to stay at home or go and do stuff.
Yeah.
And it was like, hang on, we're going to rebrand the business anyway. We want to go back out and franchise. I've now got 6 months, possibly 12 months to really reset and keep pre-season training, like in the build-up to like a boxer would do in the build-up to the fight. Just keep working hard, building the processes, doing this again, going back to what you're good at and adding new stuff in. And I did that. And then Anna, who's my sister, joined the business as well, and we started to have a bit of a restructure. We rebranded, and Active Soccer became one of our brands within the Active Sports Group. And I felt like it was quite pioneering, but over those 15 years that I'd been running the business, I'd met and dealt and worked with so many different people, not just football coaches, yoga instructors, gymnastics coaches, netball, hockey, football, rugby, you name it, all from all different like backgrounds of sport, different ages, different parts of the country. And we were doing programs with preschool children right through to secondary school children. I was like, obviously because we've been going for that long, we've naturally done a lot of different stuff.
Yeah, of course.
And I just love and I'm passionate about all sorts of sports and activity. And I thought, do you know what, we can maybe reset here, rebrand the Active Sports Group, and like actually dilute what we do into smaller brands, pockets, and try and attract people to come in and join our franchise network and in one of the 3 brands that we've got. So we've got the 3 service brands now. Active Tots, which is the preschool one. Yeah. Active Soccer got stripped back to what it was when I first started, and it's just football only because it was doing all these different things under that. And then Active Sport, which is the one that goes into all the primary schools around here where we are now as well, delivering like intervention programs, lunchtime stuff, PE classes, all sorts of different things that can help a school, support their kids and their community. And I was like, right, now let's take the brave step. We've still got some of the franchisees from the first time around that I mentioned who are amazing, and now we'll just put out the new model, the new rebrand. This is us, and let's just see how it goes. And today we've got 15 franchises again now. They're all performing really well. We've got one in Ireland, and we've just awarded another new franchise for Nottingham, east side of Nottingham, which is going to launch in September. So we've got franchisees across those 3 different brands as well. So although what they deliver with the kids is slightly different, a lot of the business processes and things like that around and that support it all are very similar. So we can just create it as one sort of big team, and everyone share resources and like the good and the bad really together. And yeah, it feels like it's in a really good place at the moment. And
yeah, good.
I think one of the things that from running a business, and certainly for that amount of time, is like you do have to keep resetting and pivoting, and maybe sometimes have different revenue streams and arms to the business to get through the times where something else isn't going as well.
Yeah.
And I suppose that's probably been one of my strengths, but also weaknesses, is sometimes maybe we've been doing too much different stuff, but if we didn't have the different stuff going on, we probably wouldn't have got through COVID as well. So at the moment it feels like we've really built the foundation, and we've got a really good support team, as I like to call them, at our head office, who help the franchise network. We'll see where it starts to go.
Yeah, I think it'll fly. I can't wait to see it at the October Expo.
Yeah, well, we've not been to a trade show for a long time, but we now feel like we feel like we can be proud to be there because of like the stuff that we have achieved over the last few years since 2020, and since we've relaunched with what we're doing. And to me it felt like I don't know, it's hard, I suppose. I've never really known now, because it's been that long, what it must be like to be employed, because I've kind of always just been doing my own thing. And I don't know if I will ever do anything different. Maybe in a different way perhaps, but doing what we've done has given, I think, me a new energy and a new lease of life to like go at it, because I think any of us, we all can become stale if we keep doing the same thing all the time.
100%.
And like, so to keep redoing and changing little things, I think it keeps you interested as well, doesn't it? Yeah,
when we rebranded, it did exactly the same thing for me. Definitely re-energised. I needed it.
It's been the best thing that's ever happened for us, for the team,
for your family,
and like for the family, for everyone, and lastly for me as well. We're excited to see what comes next, really.
Yeah, mate, it's good hearing your journey, like your personal journey and the journey with franchising. Like, you're definitely the type of character that I would want to buy a franchise from, because that resilience piece and what you've been through is the coaching piece that a franchisee needs.
Yeah, I think it's funny you say I don't openly talk about all this sort of stuff, but I think if I was to say, when we've all got a superpower, every single one of us, and I think that I would say is mine, is resilience. Whether that's been from cycling from Land's End to John O'Groats, getting through stuff at home when ambulances are turning up with your children, or running a business for 20 years, it's just still being there and turning up, and shaking it off, even when it's really bad. you still can get through it, and you know that someone asked us the question, like, are we born with resilience? Or I know I'd be interested to know what you think, or is it something that it's in our makeups, but you build your own levels of it as you go on through life?
So I think everyone has it, but I don't think everyone goes through certain stuff, and I think that's either luck or unluck or life or whatever, and you might go through. I think you just cope with whatever life throws at you.
Yeah.
Right in this second, because you had no idea that you could cope with what you coped with the last month ago, but now you can.
Yeah.
And you got through it. And all right, you've not got through it actually. Probably neither's your missus right now, but you will get through it.
Yeah.
And whatever else throws at you, and I think that's what it is. And I think then also, what is coping? Like, is it 2 bottles of Sauvignon, or is it a go for a run?
Yeah.
Or whatever it is that you do to get through it, as long as you do get through it. And I think that's the bit, isn't it? And then the emotional intelligence you grow from that then you help other adults. You have franchisees who have families who are going to go through stuff.
Yeah, 100%.
And when you've been through it, it's having that, being able to have that.
You've got empathy then, haven't you?
Yeah, that empathetic, emotional, human. We are no longer 2 men talking. We are 2 humans talking about how the fuck we coped through something and got through it. And that's the connection that I don't know. Like, that's your that's what you've got now, isn't it?
Yeah, personally, like I don't take around like I'm resilient, but I feel like I've got it and it's there in the locker. And
that's what I'm saying. It. So you said before you weren't on social media, you don't like talking about yourself, but there's an element of you what you're probably losing out on a little bit is that you probably do need to do a bit more social media, but don't ever look at it from an aspect of you shouting as a champion about what you do. It's just sharing your journey so other people can learn from it.
Yeah, I think
you need to look at it in different aspects sometimes. And I think
if it can help someone who may be feeling a bit reserved or like maybe going through a similar problem, and you've been strong enough to share it, it might actually help someone that you don't even know.
Yeah, exactly. That's the bit that you kind of have to do these things sometimes.
Yeah, and I think that it's like everything I've done always, whether it been sort of coaching before the franchise model came about, or then wanting to develop a franchise network. For me, like, what I love about franchising as well, and I know at the heart of this podcast as well, it's chatting and speaking to people who are in franchising, is people that are franchisors or are in franchising are there because they want to help each other as well. And you wouldn't do it if you didn't have that outlook on your business and life and stuff like that. It's you're there to work with other people, and some people might have come up with a really good idea and a business in a box that you can copy, but at the same time, like everything around franchising, whatever the sector and whatever it is that you're doing, you're working with people and you're helping support people, aren't you?
Yeah, it's mad, isn't it? Because even what you'd say as a competitor, they support each other.
Yeah,
I can ring. I've got direct competitors in my sector, and I can ring them and they'll tell me how they did it. Yeah. They'll give me advice, and I give it to them as well. It's mad.
I think it's refreshing that as well, though, now, because if I think back to when I first started the business, and for a few years I was walking around, you going and dropping your leaflets off in places and schools, and you'd see some of the competitors grab yours like the week later and just be in the bin and stuff, and you're like, what the hell? Like that. But that seems to have stopped now. And I like that, and what I have found is more collaboration. And I love going to some of the events where there's people in our sector who do exactly what we do or something similar, and I'm not bothered. There's so many people, there's so many schools, there's so many things you can go and do. There's enough for everyone. And at the end of the day, just help each other, because if you can't have every customer or every school in
and not every customer wants to be with you either.
Of course they don't, like, for whatever reason.
It doesn't matter, does it?
But if you can help each other out, then at the end of the day, the end user, the customer for all of our franchise businesses and stuff like that's going to get a better experience. And surely that's that's a better thing.
That's the end goal, isn't
it?
Yeah. If you're in it for doing it, that's the end goal.
Yeah. But that's cool that you can pick up the phone to somebody who's in your space and get a nugget or get a good takeaway or a bit of advice, because I think as I'm getting older as well, I if I was to do something differently in the future, it would be to try and do more of that, being able to just help and just give back and stuff, and keep trying to help other people.
Well, it becomes like a purpose-led thing then as well, doesn't it? Because I always think there's only so much. I don't know. I think it's an age thing for me now. It must be, or just what I've been through. But I get more enjoyment out of helping someone than I do actually getting some money in the bank. I can just survive. I feel like it's a bit of a fucking egotistical thing to say as well, because you have to earn a certain amount of money to live, and I think once you get to that level, then it's like, okay, that's not as important as it used to be now, and giving back and supporting someone else is much more fun.
100%. And I'd use that same methodology and put it to stuff to do, and I say this to my kids as well, like material things and memories, the 2 M's. Like we all want more stuff, a better watch or a better car or bigger house or a better pair of trainers or whatever that might look like. But once you've got it, it's like you said with the job or the money, how much does that matter? Like there's always something else you can go and get, but the little things, the memories and stuff that you can go and create and do with people, they last forever, don't they? Yeah. And they never go, and they don't necessarily have to cost loads of money either to go and do it. It's like what we said earlier about going and playing in the lads and dads, at Stanley tonight.
Yeah, I can't wait.
Put it out to him tonight. Let's get it next Thursday.
Yeah, I'll speak to the lad. He's all right as well, the coach. He's a good lad, actually.
But it's you can have that comparison like to stuff, and like you say, the more satisfaction that you get, certainly I feel, is like when you know that you've helped someone. Yeah,
the impact. It's the same with the franchise industry or business as well. Like, or people who work for me, the girl downstairs, Liz, she's been with us 2 weeks. She's done her first placement, and then she worked at Mackey's for 6 years before then. She's had a really good career at Mackey's. Like, they are built for a girl work ethic. They have got her and built her up. She is absolutely perfect for a career in recruitment now. She's going to smash it. She might not be here forever, but she's going to really do well. But she's done so well, and just talking to her through text messages, out of work, when we've had a minute together, and just seeing her journey in 2 weeks. Yeah, I couldn't give a fuck if I got paid or not. Just her doing that and that accomplishment from her, I love it.
No, I love that. Yeah, that's it. It's about people development. Isn't it?
It's always that. I'm going to wrap this podcast up because I feel like we've covered a lot. Yeah, mate. I'll be honest with you. Like you're my new best friend. Like we need to go out for some beers or something.
Well, I'm up for that. Or and also like I say, I'm up in Maghull, sort of, not which isn't far away. So we could do a run and some beers or whatever. I'm all happy for that.
Yeah, go for a run or something. I'm something like that, mate. Yeah, no, you're absolutely the reason why I started this podcast. The foundations, the UK franchise industry need people like you. Smashing it, mate. I'm really glad to have met you. Yeah, thanks for sharing your journey.
I've been really I know we had to rearrange it, I think, and to be fair, me and Kay were trying to remember the reason for it. She thinks I had some hidden triathlon. I'm trying to I'm worried I'm losing my mind now because I can't remember that one, but maybe I did. But we were supposed to do it a couple of months ago, weren't we? And maybe as for reasons I've just said, just as well, it's definitely been well worth the wait.
Give your dad a hug and your missus a hug when you get home, will you?
Will do. Yeah. Try not to burst into tears.
Yeah.
I've loved that. Yeah. Cheers. Thanks for having me on.
Cheers, mate.